You've heard the term the cloud a million times, right? It sounds like this one big, fluffy thing up in the sky. But what if it's not one thing at all? What if it's actually a choice? That's what we're going to unpack today. The three real models of cloud computing. Let's spin into it. See, when a company says they're moving to the cloud, it's not like they're just packing up and moving to one address. It's more like they're deciding where to live. Are they going to rent? Are they going to buy? They've got to find the perfect fit for their budget, their needs, and of course, their security. And that's actually the perfect way to think about this. We're going to stick with this one simple analogy for this whole explainer, real estate. You can either rent an apartment, super flexible, no maintenance, or you can own a house, which gives you total control, but also means you're on the hook for everything. If you get this one idea, everything else is going to click into place. All right, let's start with the big one, the one pretty much everyone pictures when they hear the word cloud. This is the public cloud. And honestly, the best way to think about it is like a utility, like electricity or water. You just turn on the tap and it's there. So, what does that actually mean? It means a huge provider, think AWS, Azure, Google Cloud, they own the whole shebang. The massive data centers, the servers, the cooling, all of it. And you just plug into it over the internet and use whatever resources you need. Simple as that. And this gets us to a really key concept, multi-tenancy. It's exactly like that apartment building we talked about. Your data is safe and sound inside your own locked apartment, for sure, but you're sharing the building's plumbing, the elevators, the actual hardware with all the other tenants. I mean, your app could literally be running on the same physical box as Netflix. Kind of wild, right? Now, the money side of things is a game changer here. It's all operational expenditure, or OpEx. What that means is there are no massive, scary upfront costs. You're not buying the building, right? You're just paying rent. It's a pure pay-for-what-you-use model. And for a business, that is incredibly powerful. And this model has a couple of just killer features. First up is elasticity. Let's say you need one server today, but tomorrow's your big launch and you need 1,000. You can spend those up in minutes, and then just as fast, you can scale right back down. Second, zero maintenance. A server dies at 3 in the morning? Not your problem. The provider takes care of all of it. It's pretty obvious why startups absolutely love this. Okay, so we've seen the renter's paradise. Now let's flip the script completely. If public cloud is renting the apartment, then private cloud is all about owning the house. This is for when you want total, uncompromising control. The key word here, the most important word, is exclusively. This entire cloud setup is for one and only one organization. No other tenants, no neighbors. All the hardware, all the infrastructure, it's all yours. And that's single tenancy. You don't have an apartment. You own the whole house. You decide what color to paint the walls, what kind of locks are on the doors. But yeah, when the roof leaks, you're the one calling the plumber. This gear could be in your own data center, or you could have dedicated hardware somewhere else. The point is, it's yours. Financially, this is the polar opposite of what we just talked about. This is capital expenditure, or CapEx. You got to buy the house before you can move in. We're talking a huge upfront investment to buy all those servers, the networking equipment, the whole setup. So you're probably asking, why on earth would anyone do that? Well, there are a few huge reasons. First, security. You get maximum security because you control every little detail. Second, performance. You don't have any noisy neighbors hogging your resources. And maybe the biggest one of all, compliance. If you're a bank, a government agency, or in the military, you often have super strict regulations that means sharing hardware just isn't an option, period. Okay, so we've got renting an apartment, we've got owning a house, but what if you didn't have to choose? What if you could have both? And even better, what if you could connect them? Well, that brings us to our third and final model, the very powerful, very sophisticated hybrid cloud. Now, the definition here is super important and very precise. A hybrid cloud isn't just using a public and a private cloud, it connects them. It builds a bridge between the two, letting them share data and applications so they act like one single system. And I really want to hammer this point home because it's probably the most misunderstood thing about all of this. Look, just having a server in your office and also using AWS, that is not a hybrid cloud. You only get to call it hybrid when you've built a real, secure, dedicated connection between them. Think of it like a private tunnel that makes them act as one. And this is where you really see the magic happen. Let's take a classic example called cloud bursting. Okay, picture this. You're a retailer. Most days, your website hums along just fine on your cheap-to-run private cloud. But then, It's Black Friday. Traffic goes through the roof, like a 500% spike. Instead of your site crashing and burning, it's smart enough to automatically burst all that extra traffic over to the super scalable public cloud. You pay for that massive capacity for just a few days, and then poof, when the sale's over, everything snaps right back to your private cloud. That's the best of both worlds right there. You get amazing flexibility, you can keep all your super sensitive customer data locked up safe in your private house, while the public-facing website runs out in the apartment building where it can scale like crazy. But, and this is a big but, all that power comes with a price, and that price is complexity. Trust me, managing security and networking across two totally different environments is no walk in the park. So there we have it, public, private, hybrid. Renting an apartment, owning a house, or owning a house with a private tunnel to an apartment complex. So how in the world do you choose? Let's lay it all out and make this super clear. Okay, let's put this all on one screen, side by side. You can really see the trade-offs here. Look at tenancy. Multi-tenant for public, single tenant for private. And the cost model? Total opposites. Pay-as-you-go OpEx versus that big upfront CapEx. And for scalability, public is basically infinite. While private, well, you're limited by the servers you actually bought. Think of this as your ultimate cheat sheet. All right, let's do a little rapid-fire keyword association. If you're in a meeting, or maybe even studying for an exam, and you see words like cost-effective, no maintenance, or global reach, ding, 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 that's public cloud. Okay, next step. What if you see phrases like strict regulatory requirements, retain full control, or existing data center? That's a dead giveaway. You're talking about a private cloud. And last but not least, if the conversation is about extending on-premises capacity, or that cloud bursting example we used, or something like data sovereignty, which just means you have to keep data inside a country's borders, that's got hybrid cloud written all over it. So that's the big three: public, private, and hybrid. But I want to leave you with one last thing to chew on. Right now, we're starting to see the big public cloud guys offer things called sovereign clouds, which give you the control of a private cloud, but with public cloud features. The lines are getting really, really blurry, which makes you wonder, is the future of the cloud just hybrid? Something to think about. Thanks so much for joining this explainer.